Hi YouTube, how are you doing? I'm doing okay. Um, yeah, I was up pretty early. I think it was about 7:30. I used to get up like really early, but it's still relatively early, so start my day out kind of on the right foot. I haven't done my exercises yet, but I'm going to. I didn't want my adrenaline whacked when I was talking on here because you know I don't want to be overly radical. I'm not just out to combat people. That's not my intention in my life. For the people that do wish me harm, which is most people I meet, but I mean, um, uh, I anyway, I don't want to just come off like I'm just, want to fight everybody all the time and whatever. That's not my intention or my message towards people because if I'm left alone, that doesn't even enter the equation in my life. I never think about how I'm going to harm another person, but what I'm talking about today um, is people in our lives that are like narcissist users, selfish people, self-centered people, whether they have the actual mental illness in the dark tetrad traits or not, meaning the four different types of personality traits that are on the dark scale, and dealing with these people, whether or not if you can avoid dealing with them, I would suggest doing that. These are people, we all know these type of people in our lives, whether they're world leaders or and whoever. These are the type of people or personal people in our lives that would never show you mercy but expect your mercy in return for their emptiness and their shallow ways. So that's sort of what's on my mind today is dealing or not dealing with people like that and how to determine if it's actually worth our time, or how a person makes you feel after you've spent time with them, if you feel drained, or because if a dark personality can't overpower you and make you bow to their whims, they're going to try and destroy you because, especially, let's put it this way, if you have a person that lacks moral virtues or values or um, integrity, that type of thing, if you're dealing with people like that, um, it's they're it's going to be a struggle and a challenge, period. So I don't know quite where I was going with that, but I'll just talk here for a little while because I know a lot of people that are going through these types of things, and it could even be that they don't have a mental illness. It could be that it's just drug or alcohol related, or even food. If, like if you give a kid some sugar or whatever, it's going to start bouncing off the walls. So, um, anyway, mm, I was thinking about baking a cake today, and I decided no. Um, I don't want any sugar right now. And if I baked it, I would have to eat it. I guess I could eat some and put it in the freezer, but I was like, second thought, no, because I was going to get up early and bake a cake. And I decided no. So I guess not today. So, but my question is, um, these people. that we have in our lives that could care less about anybody else. Um, I mean, maybe they pity people because they're arrogant, so they could look down on somebody and say, oh, poor little thing, or whatever. But they don't have actual compassion, you know. So when the um, Phoenix hits, that's the type of personality and the type of people that are going to be on the hit list. And they won't be showing any mercy. It's going to be a frequency thing that they can't escape. Right now, and I've known this since I was a very young person, there's people that are um, dark cabal related that actually take medications to guard themselves from people bearing the light. And if you expose a dark personality to um, the lightness within yourself, your happiness, your sweetness, kindness, whatever it is, a lot of times they're going to be angry with you because you're showing them a part of their selves that they don't have. They might even want to raise their frequency and will be angry because you have and they don't, and they know it. They know it full well, and they'll attack you for that too. Um, the dark force people aren't known to be like lovey-dovey. They're more vampiric, you know? So, excuse me, just guarding our energies on a daily basis is a big deal, you know. Um, yeah, I've just seen too much of this in the world, and I mean, have you ever watched the movie Shallow Hal, I think it's called? Boy, dude was a piece of work. I think in that he actually ended up he was going to think the woman, didn't she have like on one of those fat suits or something like that? And he didn't realize that she was actually beautiful or whatever. Or I don't know, maybe I should watch that again. I think though when I did watch it, it was rather disturbing because there's so many people like that, So, wow. Cheers, everybody. Just coffee. Oh, I was talking to somebody that's homeless and they saw a baby deer on the train tracks with broken legs and they had to put it down, get it out of its misery. But it wasn't as easy as what they thought, so that's pretty horrible. I probably, if I didn't have a knife with me, I probably would have just left it for the coyotes and the wolves, you know? But yeah, that's a hard decision. I'm not sure. I raised a baby deer, so that would be a really hard one for me to walk away from. I don't know, maybe I would I probably would have picked it up if it wasn't too mangled. I probably if it was too mangled, I would have just left it. But if it still had whole pieces without major chunks, I would have tried to fix it because um the stuff I do, like I took a baby robin in my room one winter, all winter long, and with a broken wing. So I patched its wing and it was fine in the spring. I let it go. I took in a blind pheasant and and kept him through the winter and taught him how to forage. Same with a blind squirrel. Um, he got his eyesight back though. He was shot with a bow and arrow. The same thing with the pheasant. The neighbor kid was not a very, well, not a very responsible armament owner. The kid shouldn't have never had no bow and arrow, you know. So, so yeah. But yeah, I probably, and the same with my baby deer was injured. She had her ears cut off in the combine, and that's why I tell people too, they don't understand the thousands of animals that are sacrificed for a vegetarian to eat one. I can't believe it's not a effing hamburger crap or whatever they eat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, like in the summer, I'm a real big salad person and that type of thing. Um, so I'm not dissing on people that want to take care of their health or anything. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just that I've worked on ranches and farms, and I know in both industries, there's pros and cons to both of them, and it's just the way it really is, you know. So, so what do you think about showing people that would never show you mercy, showing them mercy? How does that set with you? I mean, if it's somebody you're related to, um, that's the hard ones. Uh, it's not easy to, like when I divorced my parents, it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't easy. Um, I got emancipated. It's the same thing as a legal separation or a legal divorce. It's just, um, but it wasn't an easy thing for me to do, to walk away from people that, I mean, the only people that I knew as my parents, you know, it was a really hard decision to make, to even walk out of the house when you're a little kid and not look back is it's pretty horrible feeling. If some of you have ever been runaways, then you probably know what I'm talking about. But it's not an easy thing to do. And this wasn't, I didn't go running out into the streets into the drug culture or anything like that. um, I found employment and made my world go around, and so even at 15, I ended up working for the state as a student teacher, and so yeah, I had employment. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Um, as far as some people start caring about people later on in life when they become adults or think what am I gonna do for a living, or um, I started doing things like my Red Cross courses. I had all of them that were available to me at that time. Um, by 12, I had taken them all. Even the lifeguard course, I got to be a junior lifeguard and worked at a beach one summer. So my care and concern for people and my training for that started at a really young age, super young. And some people don't even start those types of courses and maybe young adults or whatever. So I kind of had my mindset what I was trying to do with the health of the people in the world a long time ago, you know. Give me one moment. Mm. Doug's giving the cats a treat, and my cat is locked in here. Just a minute. Be with you in a moment. Okay, just right now. Yeah, she heard that. Not sheep. So yeah. Um, just to give you a little bit of my background and my thoughts of what I was thinking even when I was a young person. It's like it all started with this stupid little medical kit I got when I was a kid. We used to have these stupid plastic things that had the stethoscope in there and band-aids and a fake syringe and different things like that. So like if somebody in my family was injured, I'd fix their boo-boos. you know I started doing stuff like that when I was a little kid, and then I ended up actually doing it in my life. So for a while, I got pretty sick of it. I really did. Um, Caring for other people, especially. I've never had anybody actually care for me. Really, I'm not kidding either. In fact, I've been injured on purpose for people that wanted to take me off this planet. Professionals that actually attempted to eliminate me different times. Well, in many times. It never worked. Like I say, that has to be kind of spooky for them to try and take me out and they're not able to do it, you know? I'm certain it's divine protection. I'm certain. So I could be here right now talking about what I'm talking about. Positive. There's no doubt in my mind because, too, why would I be compelled as a little kid to read psychology books? Well, I guess for me, when I started was because they had these books on dealing with adopted children and whatever, and it was all psychological. It was written by the Masons. It was Illuminati inspired control bullshit. And but then I went into reading like Freud and a few other that I can't really recall the name right now, but um without understanding what I was reading until I got a little bit older, and then the study of the human mind and people's personality traits and um, their mannerisms, uh, well, their frequency, like detecting facial expressions and, you know, dealing with people that are dishonest, different things that they say and do that they may not even recognize that they do, or the different things they'll say to avoid their dark selves, different techniques that they use when they're dealing with us, that they think we're stupid like that. Um, or they want us to be stupid like that so they can continue to um, live their self-centered life without any interruptions, type of thing. So yeah, I was able to save a few lives in the water. That's what I was going to tell you the other day. I have a technique in the water that I use. How did you know that a raccoon will go into the water when it's chased by hound dogs? And if those dogs follow that little raccoon, compared to like a 80, 90 pound hound, hunting hounds, um, it'll get on top of its head and sink it. So, um, like just playing in the water with bigger people when I was little, I learned this technique. So, and it works every time. I'm not going to tell you exactly the movements, but if you can imagine. But yeah, you can sink them and then bring them back up if you're nice about it. One time I did sink somebody at the bottom of a pool and stood on them down there because I took synchronized swimming too. So I was able to hold them down there until they were tapping on my leg. Like, yeah, I know you're big and bad. How'd you like that? You know, they deserved it. This wasn't just something I did because I was being cruel. You know, no, it was funny to me, and I didn't hurt anybody. I knew how long they could hold their breath and all that. So yeah, but that's pretty incredible that a little 10 or 12 pound animal can use physics to sink its opponent, you know? And that's the same as Aikido or Hapkido. It's a really similar um, uh, judo techniques of using a person's energy against them. You know, that's what I trained with, you know. Uh, yeah. And that started a long time ago. And I know I talk about like I took some yoga classes when I was 15 and I was into that type of, not really deep into it, but deep enough into it where I knew the connection or disconnection of the spirituality with the whole thing. And there is a practice called sun salutations that open your lower chakras to that dark energy that you do not want to do. Just saying. This is personal experience I'm talking about, you know. So, just for you people doing yoga, you know it's true if you're into that practice in particular, you know, it's a real thing. Then you're dealing with energies and frequencies and in that practice and a type of meditation that takes you from yourself and places that energy in the hands of an entity that you don't want to be controlled by. Or maybe you do, I don't know. Maybe. I think some people might, you know. But I found it really weird and I started thinking about it and I felt disconnected. And that was my instincts. And then later I had read or saw something about it where I wasn't the only person thinking on that level about that in particular, you know, because they promoted as of course health benefits and the underlying religious aspects of the whole thing are um, yeah, it's not what people think because you know I can't think of something to compare it to because it's super different, you know. But anyway, I still do yoga moves. I'm just really, really, uh, I put thought into what I do or don't do because of how it makes my heart or my mind feel when I'm done doing it. It's just like with a narcissist. How do I feel when I'm done dealing with that? Am I drained, or um, did it leave me feeling good, or yeah, you got to determine and choose for your energy within yourself of, like, what do you give to another person? What do they deserve? Nobody owns you, and you don't owe anybody your energy. They have their own. If they can't live off that, they don't need to live. So, I mean, I'll put energy into a person up to a point, but then if when they start their dirty stuff, which they always do because that's who they are, that's when I jump up and I become the beast, and I tell them where the cow ate the calf. That's a saying from the western United States ranchers, where the cow ate the calf, because they will eat the um, uh, afterbirth. So, oops. That reminds me, there's a song, Oops, There Goes Another Rubber Tree. Oh, man. It's kind of a comical song, not really funny that it's true, but I have a rubber tree in my living room. They're pretty tough. I hardly ever have to water it. It just hangs in there through all kinds of abuse. It's sort of like, um, yeah, it's the perfect plant for a narcissist. Maybe it should have been called the narcissist tree. Or no, what is it when you're the supply tree? That's a good one for it. Oh, yeah, don't show these people mercy. If you can, I mean, they're not going to show you any, you know. You have to toughen up, you know. And I'm not just saying this because I put up with stuff, because I did. It wasn't because I was kind. It's because I actually was stupid enough to think that I was loved by somebody so selfish. When you get over the fact that probably nobody's ever going to love you, you know, then you're all by yourself. You've always been by yourself, and you're going to die by yourself. You might as well make the best of what you have, you know. But babying monsters isn't a good idea. And I've been in battle with narcissistic entities that are in the mental health community, teaching people adverse ways to what is natural and good for human beings. And I'm not stopping until I get some of these things, make people aware of them, what they're trying to change in the manuals that actually tell you the psychology of a human mind. um right. But it's amazing. They think they can write a book and stick everybody's personality in there, that they would be accurate to the point where they could counsel you or I or somebody else on their behaviors or whatever. Yeah, you might find a good counselor. I've done counseling, yeah. You might find a good one that actually cares and might give you some good ideas on how to calm yourself down or whatever your issues are, depression, drugs, health problems can affect your mental abilities, all that type of thing. But most people are not emotionally stable enough to give people advice. And here they are writing books on how to do that for you or I, you know. There's certain things that they're trying to put in these manuals now that aren't going to benefit people, you know. Like calling narcissism a mental illness because it's trauma based. And if you were to weigh one person's trauma to another person's trauma, it's like, who gets to be babied then? The person that had the most trauma, you know? We treat them like a king or a queen because the oh, poor baby had such a bad life, you know? That's just, that's ridiculous. And how many people do you know that love being the victim? They love having that upper hand over people to be able to say, like I went through this or that. They don't care what you went through, by the way. Could care less. Could be way worse. They could care less. It's all about them. And they want to call it a mental illness, and it's evil. It's not, it's manipulation. And these people, like one, for instance, is a professor. I mean, if you can tie your shoes, put your pants on, breathe the same air as me, and go take courses and get your masters and different things and whatever, you're perfectly capable of functioning on this planet without being cruel to other people. Period. It's your decision every day. Every day. You make a decision. Do I act on my selfish desires and needs no matter who it hurts? Or do I consider all human life from every angle, like we really should be doing, you know? And I'm even considering theirs by talking about it. But I still say, don't show mercy to the merciless unless you have to take a little bit of time if um they're like maybe family or an ex-spouse. If you have kids with somebody, there's different situations where you have to interact with people that have this dark personality traits. And why would they call it dark if it isn't in dark? It's not a mental illness, it's a decision. Because like I say, these people depend on their victimhood. It's their whole life. The poor me's, oh, poor you, you know? Oh, poor you. You can treat me bad today 'cause you had such a hard life. Yeah, just be careful of that. They're all over the place, but don't buy into the fact that they're trying to push it as a mental illness because we all know it isn't. Yeah. You know, if you have a sibling and you both grew up in that same home and your sibling's a full-blown narcissist and you're not, you know, and you both went through the same type of hell, you know for a fact that it is not a mental illness, it's a choice. You just know it, you know. It's like that meme that goes around, or whoever said it. Like there was two children, two sons, and their father was a drunkard, and they asked, "Why aren't you a drunkard like your father?" To the one, "Well, from watching my father." And they asked the other one, "Why are you a drunkard?" And he's like, "From watching my father." It's the decisions that each person will make coming out of that same environment. Are you going to use your trauma to inflict pain on other people, or are you going to level up? It's your decision. That's why I'm hated, because I'm going to tell you what's up. I'm going to reflect what it is and expose it to the light. And sometimes people don't want that light exposure. They'll take like your good ways, your happy ways, maybe the way you dress or act or different things, and acquire that for themselves. And that, in a way, could be a form of flattery. But that's not with a narcissist. That is not what it is. It is not flattery. It's erasing you. And as soon as your energy runs out, if they can break you and take that light away from you, that's their goal. That's the intent of these people. So anyway, well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I hope y'all have a really beautiful week ahead. At least I don't think it's Tuesday when it's Monday. Doug and I both thought it was Tuesday last week. We lost, or we gained a day. So, all right, everybody, have a really good night or day. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.